Hi there, this is Art and Such with a Rainbow Loom tutorial for Bob Ross, the artist. I am going to be making the arms just a little bit shorter than what you see here, but otherwise we'll follow this pattern. And for your Bob Ross, you're going to need some skin tone bands, a lighter blue, a darker blue, brown for the hair and beard. You can use brown or black for the shoes. I'm using a couple of black bands for a belt, so that is optional. And for the eyes, I'll be using a couple of small black beads and some dental floss to thread that on. If you prefer to use white beads and draw on the pupil, or you'd like to use black bands, that will work just as well. You're also going to need a holding hook, 1 or 2 C-clips, and your loom in the offset configuration. We are going to start with the hands and the arms, and as I said, I feel like the ones I made were a little long. So I'm going to take out 1 or 2 sets from my original design here, and we will start with 2 skin tone bands. Put it on the end of your hook, twist and wrap once and twice, and repeat, and grab 2 more, and we're going to put those on the end, slide over, and replace the other end. Now let's see, I had 5 or 4 more sets of those. I'm going to do 2 more sets and we'll see if we like this length. So here are 2 on the end, slide it through, and another 2. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, that should be nice. Okay, so I have a total of 3 sets of double bands, and we're going to switch to the lighter blue for the shirt, and we need 4 sets of double bands. So 2 bands together, put it on the end, slide through, and again, and a 3rd time, and 1 more. Now, just while I remember, you can also make the little cuff by grabbing 2 shirt colored bands and bringing it over the arm. You can twist it and bring it over a 2nd time and just place it there. If you want to use a C-clip to secure it better later, you can, or you can tighten it up more, but it shouldn't move around too much from there. Let's do the other hand and arm. So we need 2 skin tone wrapped once and twice, pulled onto 3 sets of double bands. That's once, twice, and 3 times. Switch to your skin tone, or sorry, to your shirt tone, your shirt color bands, and we'll do 4 sets of that again. 2, and they're all sticking together. 3 and 4. I'll grab 2 more again to make that little cuff. Pop it over and around. And I like to line my arms up to just make sure that they are coming out to the same length, and that tells me that I did count and measure correctly here. We can switch to the shoes and the legs now. You can do this with brown or black, or if there's another color you prefer, you can use a different color. But we're going to take 2, wrap it on the hook 1, 2, 3 times, pull it onto 2 bands of the same color. You can replace it. We're going to take a single band and wrap it on the end 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And then bring that first piece over so that your newly wrapped band is going to sit in the middle. Pull that onto 2 more bands. And I'm trying to keep this in order as best I can. Give that a little adjustment there. And we're going to put it onto a doubled over single band. So for that, we need to take one, stretch it, twist it, bring it back onto itself, and then slide that through. And this gives a nice little bend at the ankle. I'm switching to my dark blue now. This is for my blue jeans, and this part's pretty straightforward. We're putting on 8 pairs of blue bands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and last one, 8. Oh, looks like I lost one there. Hold on. Okay. And we have one more leg to do, and then we'll be ready to move on to the loom. So just as before, you'll need 2 brown bands, wrap them on, or shoe colored bands, wrap them on 3 times, pull onto 2 bands. And we're gonna have a wrapped one in the middle, so if you want a shortcut, you can keep this off for a minute. Wrap 3, 4, and then replace. If that's too awkward, you can wrap it and then pull it over still. We needed 2 more bands to go through all of those. Looks like I have one more little loop I need to get over here. It's kind of stuck. Okay. And I want to make sure that wrapped one is staying in the middle. All right, and then a doubled over single. So stretch, twist it around onto itself, and slide through, and we need another 8 sets of double blue, or 8 pairs of the blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You can put your hook to the side for just a minute here, and we'll come to the loom. We have 2 skin tone from the top center to the second down in the center, and 2 more skin tone from the second center to the third center. I'm gonna put 2 blue bands, light blue shirt colored, from the second center to the second on the side, and repeat on the other side. And we're gonna add the little collar here. Now, if you don't want this, you can of course leave it out, but if you would like to add that, you'll want to take a single shirt color band, wrap it on your hook 1, 2, 3, or 4 times, and place it onto 2 shirt colored bands. And put the other end back on, and what we're going to do is we're going to transfer this onto the bands we just put on. So you can take it off of the loom if you want, or you can just lift it up, slide it through, and replace. So it's going to go onto here. We'll do it for the other side. Wrap your single 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Place it onto 2 bands and replace. And then you're going to transfer it onto the 2 bands across the second pegs down. Oh, we have a visitor. Baby. That's my cat. Okay. Let's come down on either side from the second, starting at the second peg, 1, 2, 3, 4 times with the shirt colored bands. So let me put it down on the loom and then I'll hold it up for you to see what it looks like. We're going to need another 3 of the same color, 3 sets of the same color coming down, starting at the third peg down in the middle. So we'll do 1 set, 2 set, 3 sets there. Like so. And then we're switching to our darker blue for the blue jean color, and we need 1 set of double bands on each of the rows. Okay. We can now put our legs on. So grab 2 dark blue bands, put it on the end of your hook and slide the pair of legs, like both pant legs, over. And we'll stretch this across from the 7th, I think that's our 7th peg down. That's the last one that has the blue on it. And you can take the band that the blue is on and bring it over that 7th peg in the middle as well. We can put the arm pieces now straight down onto the 2nd pegs from the top. It shouldn't really matter whether you put it straight down or you turn it over. Like, you could flip it either way, it should look the same pretty well. We don't have any weird elbow bends or features that are different from one arm to the other, so those can go directly on. And then we need some holding bands. So I believe I used doubled over singles, and I'm just going to take a single, twist it over, put that across the 3rd pegs from the top, and repeat for each set underneath, or each of the next 3 sets underneath, I should say. If you want the last one to be your darker blue, that's fine too. And if you want to put in some blacks here and try to incorporate the belt as you're weaving, that's certainly something you can play around with. Oh, sorry. Decided I am going to go for one of the darker blues here. Okay. So as I said, the belt I pretty well just put on after the fact and then looped in with a C-clip, but if you want to use a different strategy, by all means, this is probably the point at which you would do that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to loop up the sides. So you want to be reaching for the bottom 2 bands, and we will be collecting them from inside of the of our holding bands on top. So push back the top 2 on that 7th peg down, collect the bottom 2 blue, and bring them forward around onto the next peg. Push back until you get the bottom 2 of the paler color and bring them forward. If it helps, you can use your hook or your fingers to pull out to the side the ones that you're looking to catch. That will add some tension to them and make it easier to see and to get a hold of. I'm going to go straight up until I get to the peg with the arm. That's the 2nd one. And the bands that I want to get from there are right at the bottom. So once more, if you find it's hard to see, you can bring your hook around and pull them out to the side. But you are looking for the bands that are coming from the 2nd center peg. Collect those those and bring them back onto the second center peg. So once this is all looped up, we'll do the same on the opposite side. I'm going to go a little bit faster this time. If you want or need to turn your loom around to get a better angle, it's all good. There. Okay, just watch that your triangle bands stay in place, and then under the arm again, we're trying to get the two bands that came in diagonally and then return them to their starting place. The last part of the body would be to go to that 7th peg down in the middle, reach between where the legs are, and loop straight up to the top of the loom. If you feel that your loom is getting a little tight, there's a bit of tension building, you can ease off some of the lower parts that have been looped in already. Sometimes that helps out a little bit. Okay, and I need the 2 skin tone from underneath all the bands on the 2nd peg from the top. We'll bring that to the top peg and hold on to those. You can use a hook or a C-clip or your finger while you remove some of the rest of the bands from the loom. And after that, we can start on the face. The reason that I do this in separate pieces is partly so that we can fit more comfortably on the loom without worrying about running out of space. But it can also be helpful if one part does go wrong, you do have a section that's all made and can be salvaged without having to undo the whole piece, if that makes sense. Okay, so here's the body. I'm gonna hold off on doing the belt just for now. We'll come back to that in a little bit. For our head face hair, we start with our darker brown. I've got a kind of caramel color here. And 2 from the top center to the top right. 2 from the top center to the top left, or the side closest to you. We're going to come down twice on each row with double brown bands. So from the 1st to the 2nd on either side, and the 2nd to the 3rd on either side. Actually on each row I said, so let's do that in the middle as well. Now, if you feel like this is going to be too much of a forehead, we are going to be doing an extension, but if you want it to be a little bit shorter, you could take off one of these sets, but I like it the way it is. I'm going to keep it the way I originally did. We'll take 2 sets of double skin tone from the 3rd to the 4th peg down in the center, and the 4th to the 5th peg. Then I'm going to do 2 more in brown, 2 more bands, not 2 more sets. That's for the beard. And on either side we want 1 set of skin tone bands from the 3rd peg to the 4th peg. And I suppose no, I think that's what we need. I was going to say you might be able to do that all in brown, but then we'll lose half our face. We don't want it to be all beard. So this will work out okay. 2 more brown on either side from the 4th to the 5th. And then we're going to come in diagonally, 5th side to 6th center with 2 browns. And same for the opposite side. Okay, a couple more things we need to do here. So when you're ready, you can take the bands that have your neck, your body, put those on the 6th peg down. If you feel like it's going to be really in your way, you could stretch these onto the peg below, but that's going to stretch out your bands a little bit. So only if you feel that will be helpful for you. Let's do a doubled over single brown band on the 2nd pegs across, 2nd pegs down. and one underneath that. And one more across the 5th pegs down. So I'm skipping the next one and I'm going to the set above the body, like so. And this is where I'm going to put the eyes on the 4th pegs down. So you're going to want a skin tone band. If you want, you can double it over, but you don't need to. I'll show you really quickly. If you are using bands, what you'll do is take 2 black bands, wrap each one over your hook 1, 2, 3 times, and then slide them both onto a single skin tone band. And once more, if you want it a little tighter, you can double it over. And this will stretch from the 4th peg down on one side to the 4th peg down on the other. If you are using beads with a larger hole, you can put the beads right onto your hook. Show you with a couple of beads here. So if you had a really large bead, you would put your 2 beads on and then slide it directly over and place that across the 4th pegs. And if, like me, you have smaller beads and you want to get them onto your band, I take a piece of dental floss, needle and thread or thin wire, run it under the band. I'm going to run it through both of my beads. You see me do this in other videos. I've seen this done in other videos as well. It's a good trick. Sometimes it takes a minute to catch it. Okay, here we go. There's one on the floss. God, my nails are too long today. And 2, and I've tried to pick or to get 2 beads that are very similar in size. I did want beads that were not too big, but large enough to show in the face here. So there, as you can see. Now I take my floss from the other side and I'm going to go back over and back through. And then once I pull this across, it should it should go all the way through. And this might take me a minute. Got a little bit that's sort of shredded on here is the problem. I think I need some new floss soon. But let me switch my positioning around. If you already have your eyes ready, feel free to jump ahead. I'll be with you presently. Oh, we got through one. So close, so close. Sorry, I don't have some scissors here. I feel like I probably could neaten up this floss and make it go a little more smoothly. But as I say, feel free to jump ahead. This shouldn't take me too long. It doesn't usually take me this long. Okay, let's switch directions again here. There. Okay. So we slide them on, and then I can place my band where I want it to go on those 4th pegs, and we can finally proceed here. Sorry about that. Now, whether you've used bands or beads, you want to get your hook between and pull one part of that band over that 4th peg down in the middle. All right, last thing to do before we start looping up is our side extensions for the beard and the extra hair. We're going to need a bit of brown for this. We're starting with a single brown band, wrap it twice, and then it's going to go on to 5 sets of double bands together. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And the piece at the bottom of the chain is going to go onto the 5th peg down on the side. So this part here, if you tug it and you get that little circle, we want to put that right at the bottom, right on the bottom peg here, the fifth one. We're going to stretch the rest of it all the way up and around and onto the top center peg. This will give it that nice roundness. Okay, and so that this doesn't sit loose from the head, we want to take one little piece out of each link and place it around each of the pegs that are in between. So just like that. And if you can get all of them from the inside, more from the top, it's better because that will keep it from twisting around. Okay, and other side, a single wrapped twice onto 5 sets of double bands. So it's 3 and 4 and 5. And we'll place it the same way as we did the opposite. Okay, so onto the fifth one and bring it up and around onto the top center. You want to make sure you get all of the bands on, and then grab one piece out of each of those chains that are in between. Bring them over the pegs in the middle. This one's so stuck here. Come on. Okay, and we are ready to loop up. So we're gonna start where that chin neck body piece are. I'm reaching through and I'm gonna get the 2 brown, which are highest up. They're gonna go up to the side furthest from me. And the next 2 are going to the side closest to me. And then the ones that are remaining will go straight up. Okay, so you want to have these nice clean lines here. And then we can loop up any of the rows really. I'm going to start with the middle. So with that 5th peg down, I'll grab my skin tone and bring it forward between the eyes. And the next 2 can go forward, and 2 more loops up. And on either side, we are going to be looping again for the bottom 2 bands on each peg. Push back everything that's on that bottom or that side 5th. Reach for the bottom 2 brown. Bring them over and around and lay them on top of the 4th peg from the top. You can see it's a little bit thick here. I'm making sure to push the bands down so they don't get loose. Got my next 2 skin tone, and then we're going to have 2 sets of double brown bands. And once you're at the top peg on the side, reach through for the bottom 2. They're coming up and to the top center. We repeat this all on the far side. So for each set, you're getting the bottom 2 bands. And we'll go straight to the top. And grab the 2 diagonal, bring them in diagonally. And once you have everything looped up, we need a single brown band, or 2 if you want it to be extra secure. I have it on a couple of fingers of my left hand, and I'm going to put the hook open part away from me, straight down through all the bands on that top center peg. Then we'll grab this securing band, keep a little tension on it, and as you pull straight up, you want to gradually start turning your hook so that the open part is pointed up. Then you can put your other piece on and bring the the one piece, like one side over the other and over the end of the hook, and this will create a slip knot. Hold onto that nice and good and remove Bob Ross from the loom. We are just about all done. Okay, so once you decide which side you want for your front, you can turn to the back, put your hook under a couple of bands, put your securing band on and slide it under, and this can go onto a C-clip. I like to put the C-clip under another band as well, just to keep it from flopping about. It's really hard to work today. My nails are just too long this time around. Okay, press your eyes through. And the last thing, which as I said is totally optional, if you want to put on a little belt, you can grab 3 or 4 black bands, pop them over the legs and bring it to the hip. And to keep it from moving about too much, what I like to do, I'm going to do this on the back side here. What I like to do is, and you can, okay, let me just think a couple of ways you could do this. You could put a band through it like this. This would be one option, to put a band through. And this is the back, so you can choose your color. So I'm going under, grabbing a band and pulling it through. You can do something like this and then put that on a C-clip. But because we already have bands on the back, I'm gonna go through 1 or 2 bands that are underneath and a band that's on top and back under. I can put this on a C-clip and I can weave this around and do this a little bit further along. So you can do this once on each side, or you can go under a nearby band, pull it over, repeat, and catch it again with an above band and a below band, and put that on a C-clip, and then your belt should stay somewhat in place. So let me grab a C-clip here. If that weaving looks too complicated, you can secure it once on either side by taking a band that's under and a band that's over, and just bringing it through there. If you don't want the belt or you have another method, that's also completely okay. I'm just having a hard time getting a grip of my C-clips today. They're a little slippery with, as I say, my nails being a little bit sharp right now. Okay, so I think that's everything we need there. Let me lay them down for you and we'll lift the camera up. And there is Bob Ross ready to paint. If you want to make an easel too, that's something else you can play around with, and I'd love to see what you do with that. But either way, that is the tutorial, so I thank you for watching. Bye guys.